What's going on, everybody? Just a little round table. We haven't done one in quite a while. Wilson Tarpe here from My Mind on Sports. I'm joined by two of my fellow writers here. Well, they're the writers. I dabble in writing. Not gonna call myself a writer. We got Eddie McDonald's and Mr. Jarrell Leaper. So Eddie, how things going with you today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Eh, tired, old, normal stuff. How about you, Jarrell?
I'm good. Work today, no work tomorrow. So yeah, I'm good. That's why I'm up right now.
Said no work tomorrow, so that's all that matters to you, huh?
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm here. I would be
That
in
must be
bed.
nice.
I figured as much because yeah, typically I saw you respond to the DM and I was like, you have work in the morning, but okay,
Yeah.
right? You're grown, you got it. All right, just in case you guys didn't take the time to read the description, what we're doing. This is the last time in any across any medium, my mind on sports is going to reference the 2015-2016 Super Bowl. This is it. We talked about it ad nauseum for the past couple of weeks. A couple articles on the site. We talked about it last night on our radio show on Bliss.fm. Yeah, shameless plug. So we're done with that. No more after today. We're gonna wrap it up with all the wonderful hot takes and all that good stuff and keep it moving. All right. So Jarrell, ask you first. Just now that we've had a couple days to digest what has happened, what was the Super Bowl like for you? Just like, what did you take away from it?
We were caught in the Cam Newton hype. And don't get me wrong, the hype was justified this season, but we didn't take into account how great Denver's defense was. And on the same stage, Von Miller like a second incarnation of Lawrence Taylor. He couldn't be stopped. He's the reason they scored both touchdowns. He took the game in his own hands. It was a very defensive battle. People thought blowouts. Just one offense kind of did enough to get by in Denver and Carolina. Miscues, whether it was fumbles, drop passes, in air and throws, you name it. So that's what I took from it.
Okay, Eddie.
I just think, like Jarrell said, we overlooked the Denver defense. Like, that was such a great defensive team. And then with Von Miller having the game he did after having the game against the Patriots, they said that was his best game ever against the Patriots, and then they just said he just topped that, which is pretty impressive considering the two games it was. Uh, all that hype was justified for Cam, like Jarrell said as well. And he just ran into a buzzsaw defense. Like, there's nothing really else to take about it. Peyton Manning didn't play that well. He didn't need to, and the defense won the championship.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it comes down to like let's just say this out loud. The Broncos offense scored once. A Peyton Manning led offense scored once, and even that one time, and not to cheapen it, but it was a gimme because it was what you recovered the ball
At the 5 yard
at
line.
the 5 yard line. And I'm not saying that's the only reason you got in, but you would have won another game scoreless. That's all I'm gonna say. Is not only they've done that twice this year and won both games, by the way, where they didn't have an offensive touchdown. And as far as with the Denver defense, I don't think people underestimated them. I think they underestimated their speed. Like, it's one thing to see them from far away and go, okay, they're fast. I don't think Carolina's offensive line were it's one thing to know that someone's fast. It's another thing when you get out there and you find out that there's like 15 levels between how fast you thought they were and how fast they really are.
Right.
And I mean, Denver's defense, man, you just have to give them credit. Their pass rushing, yeah, while it's easy to, Vaughn gets a lot of praise and he definitely deserves it, but it felt as if there were four Broncos in Carolina's backfield all game. So it wasn't just Vaughn getting back there. I think Vaughn may have been making the plays, but he had company in Carolina's backfield, and that's the thing that stood out to me the most. Is I didn't I knew they were two tough defenses, and like think about how great the Denver's defense played. That we're ignoring how great Carolina's defense played because they balled out. Two defenses played very well. One defense just made They got the takeaways. They got the points. We're so used to seeing Carolina's defense be the one getting the point, getting the takeaways for scores. They didn't get any of those this game. Denver got all of them.
I agree, and to piggyback off what you said, Peyton Manning left a lot of gifts on the field. There were passes that should have been pick sixes. Josh Norman dropped 2 interceptions. It was a lot of things that Carolina's defense could have done, and I watched the Inside the NFL today. They were talking like we need to make a play because the plays were there for the defense, but it just didn't get done. I know Ely made that incredible one-handed interception, and then they did strip Peyton of him. But in general, defense were great. It's just Carolina's offense, which people have been saying were suspect the whole year, with a receiving core that only Kelvin Benjamin and Greg Olsen were the 2 highlights coming into the season. It kind of showed. Ted Ginn made one play. You know, he got a tip ball that was picked off. You know, the receivers just really weren't there.
I mean, I think it's easy for some people, and obviously I'm not saying you, for some people to say that their offense was overrated. But last time I checked, they scored very easily against everybody not named Denver. So if there's only 1 out of 32 teams who did that to them, it's hard for me to say, oh, their offense is overrated while missing their best weapon in Kelvin Benjamin. I don't think they were overrated. I think maybe their offense was really good. And as you guys said, they deserve the praise that they got. I just think we all took for granted just how fast that pass rush was. Like the week before, we all knew how fast Tom Brady got rid of the football, right? And I don't think we fully allowed the process that if he got rid of the ball in 2.2, 2.3 seconds, and Vaughn and company are just like, it's okay, we'll get there quicker than 2 seconds. So you're telling me you're shedding a 300-pound man, closing in on a quarterback, and finishing the play in 1.8 seconds?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, they did have 7 sacks in the game, so like you said, it wasn't just Von Miller. It was all of the defense. And going forward, that's who they should focus on to bring back. Not necessarily the quarterback, but bring back that defense, because that's what essentially won you the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I got theories on the quarterback thing in Denver, but I'll wait till we get to the offseason part of this. But yeah, I mean, what they proved to us was you don't need that elite guy if you have a defense that murders that elite guy. You just need him not to mess up. I mean, they had a team QBR or quarterback rating of like 76 at the position, which for other teams we'd laugh at and go, that's trash. You can't win like that. They just won a Super Bowl with it.
Yeah, and Peyton Manning threw 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. Tom Brady had more touchdowns in Denver than Peyton Manning did this year.
That's crazy.
Let that sink in. And again, that just speaks to volumes of how dominating that defense was. And while, okay, it is quick to talk about the front half of that defense, you have to give credit to those 3 dominant corners. Yeah, we're talking about Talib, which I'm not going to give him too much credit to him for the Super Bowl because I don't know what he was on. He tried to lose. He was like the one guy on Denver that wasn't trying to do his job.
What he did, though.
Yeah, but when he wasn't being as stupid as possible, he was one-on-one on Greg Olsen. He held him to 4 catches, 41 yards. Greg Olsen's a big part of that offense. Chris Harris made sure that throwing in the slot was not an option. I don't remember Chris Harris tackling a wide receiver. I just remember him making tackles in the run game because this guy was never open. Then you got young Bradley Roby and you would think that you pick on the young corner. People haven't really picked on Roby this year. Against New England, he made a couple big plays against them, and he's the baby out the group. Like, their coverage guys, spectacular. And by the way, again, Chris Harris, and I'll keep screaming this, best slot corner in the league. And it doesn't hurt to have one of those.
Nope.
Doesn't hurt at all.
Definitely.
All right. Last, obviously, everyone's, hot take-ish. Yeah, I'm drinking water so you guys can see it. The hot take-ish thing is talking about Cam after the game. And we talked a little bit about it last night. And I guess like the big thing for me before you guys tell me what you think was just that obviously it's something I'm sure he probably regrets now. I want the NFL to change how they do post game media because you should not have the winner and the loser in the same room and expect them both to be
I agree
perfectly A-okay with that.
1,000%.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And again, this is not giving Cam an out. I'm just simply saying that's horrible. That just doesn't. That's unfathomable in my mind. That's okay that we've gotten this far and it hasn't been addressed. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have walked out. And one of my guys, Cardell Dudley, last night he was on the show. He's from Finest Magazine, and him and D and our co-host Octavia, what they were saying is for Cam, I don't think maybe he realized that in that moment it was bigger than him, and I think that's what he let down was he gave all those people that hate the sight of him and the air that he breathes, and this is not everyone, but there's a nice little pocket of people in the world, in this country, football fans that feel that way, who haven't been able to say anything all year long because he won an MVP award. And, you could have just kind of put those detractors where there was nothing left for them to say. They just had to just continue to hate you quietly, but you walked off the podium. So now we're going to just, it's 2016. We're going to hot takes everywhere. We're going to start assassinating somebody's character. And I was watching something today, and Tony Dungy, Herm Edwards brought up a great point. When Denver got murdered in the Super Bowl, Peyton talked to the media. He did not shake Russell Wilson's hand. We let that ride. Cam at least smiled on his face, respected the man that beat him. Gave kudos to a Hall of Famer, and he didn't talk to the media. So for me personally, I'm not tripping too hard off of it. I do agree with Cardell that the moment was bigger than him. But again, for all the hot take people out there, y'all go find me that picture of Russ and Peyton talking after the game like Cam and Peyton did.
I gotta disagree with you on that one, Wilson. Peyton and Russ, they did shake hands. They did shake hands? Yeah, it was Peyton and Drew Brees.
Okay, I'm sorry, not Russ.
Drew, right.
But thank you for correcting me.
Right.
Either way, a certain somebody else lost the Super Bowl, and it wasn't gracious class that we're demanding from Mr. Newton.
Right, and like he said, show me a good loser, and I'll show you a loser, which a lot of people didn't come out and say that was a Vince Lombardi quote, which it was. So, I mean, that right there says it all. So I don't understand why the hot takes always come. I mean, I understand why they do it, because people want to get views or get whatever for whatever their agenda is. But to attack the character of the dude, like, and it's happened before, especially like you just said, Wilson, with Peyton Manning, but no one said a word about that. But it's just Cam, he's Cam. Just let him be.
And all I'm saying is if we're going to hold Cam accountable for messing up at 26 years old or whatever, yeah, he slipped up. And I'm not saying don't say that he didn't slip up, but you don't need to go assassinate the character because of that one moment. He slipped up. Pro athletes are very, 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 very competitive. So
Absolutely.
I think it's hard for us. I think it's hard for anybody. At least I know for me. We're in media to go tell them how they should react to something where we've never been in a situation like that. That's a different type of competition. And again, if we're gonna hold Cam accountable, Drew Brees and Peyton, those are elite quarterbacks. Where's the respect there?
My disagreement would be last year Russell Wilson threw a pick six to lose the Super Bowl, and he, like a man, he faced the music and went about his business. If Cam just faces the music and goes about, he could have just said, why I'm here, da 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 da. But the fact that he just walked off 2 minutes before, it's like you want to be the face of the NFL, you want to be the icon, you want this type of position. And every great NFL player, for the most part, they've won and lost. Brady, Peyton, Aaron Rodgers, they've all who want this position to be the face. You win some and you lose some. When you lose, Grant, I read the article with Peyton when he walked off the field with Drew Brees. I know he later called him. That's not what we want to hear. but at least he reached out. And then when he lost again to Russ, he
Right.
made it a point like I gotta do it.
But all I'm saying is just like we let Peyton ride and we gave him a chance to do it better the next time, hold Cam accountable. He didn't do it right. Like you say, he should have said something. He didn't. So next time round, let's make sure that he does say something.
Agreed.
But, you know what I'm saying? But to act like this, he's the biggest villain in pro sports history. He's the only dude who ever did this. We got Isaiah Thomas, who led the walk-off. His whole team walked off.
Yep.
I kind of sort of remember one Mr. LeBron James not shaking hands to people with players after they got escorted out the playoffs. And we all got over that. So all I'm saying is just like, okay, hold them accountable, but there's overkill. Just y'all have to stop. Like, hold them accountable, as Jarrell said. Plenty of people have taken L's and did the responsible thing. They manned up. They faced the music. And while he did face the music a day later, he should have done it that night, and there's nothing wrong saying that. But to go further and start talking about his character and this is who he is, he's a fraud, and all this other stuff, his MVP doesn't mean anything, you got to stop it.
Yep. The other day on Around the Horn, Jackie McMullen was saying that she sort of compared him to LeBron in the sense that when he had his decision, everyone knows he handled that the complete wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a terrible PR train wreck, right? And then later on in his career, he says, well, looking back at that, I probably could have done that differently, and I wish I would have. He learned from that and moved on.
Mm-hmm.
No one gave him anything, and that's a good thing for Cam to do. Sure, he acted like that, and no one's giving him an out, but that's the biggest loss of his career, of any level of anything. And he's highly emotional, and then he hears someone saying, I'm not giving him an out, but it is what he did. But next time, if he gets back to a Super Bowl and he does lose again, he'll understand how to lose more graciously and be like, oh, yeah, all right, you got me this time, and I'll be back next year.
And I think that's all I'm saying is no problem is, yes, he was wrong, but to the degree that some people are going to reach further past he was wrong, let's move on with our lives, he should have handled it better. I think that should have been it. But instead it's, you're horrible, you're a fraud, you didn't deserve this, that's why you deserve to lose because you celebrate too much. Like, these are all things that you personally feel and you're insecure about, those pocket of people who feel that way. Him walking off the podium had nothing to do with any of you. And again, I would challenge you just from a human being standpoint. We all think athletes are supposed to be perfect, and we hold them to absurdly ridiculous high standards, and I don't know why we do that in this country. Which, again, that's a whole other issue for a whole other day. We
Maybe
expect
it's the amount of money they make.
Okay, but again, we contribute to that.
You're right.
So, again, if someone was offered, the same people are getting mad. If you were getting offered that type of money to do your job, are you going to say, no, I don't deserve that? My job is not that important? Or are you going to sign your check and enjoy your life with your family?
The latter, of course.
So,
right.
Again, I just think we put them up there and then they're supposed to be robots. They're human beings, and it's sports. It's emotional. If you can get crazy as fans, how do you think the actual players feel? You're not even on the field.
And, again, at the end of the day, it's just a game.
It's just a game.
They're playing a game that you learn to love as a child. Or most of them, anyway. Most athletes, anyway. You fall in love with a sport at a certain age. You play it. If you're good enough, then you get to continue playing. And why not let them be who they are? If this is who Cam Newton really is, let him show that. I don't want to see the same quarterback year after year, but like all different quarterbacks, but acting every single way the same. If someone is maybe not act out to the extent as Cam did, but just be themselves more, what's wrong with that?
Again, it's this. I feel like we hold them to a ridiculously high standard. Like, we should hold ourselves to that standard that we have for athletes, and maybe everything might go a little bit better for everybody. Cam shouldn't be raising your kids. I'm glad that the work that he does off the field, and it's wonderful. He didn't birth your kids. Those aren't his kids. He has one kid. He's chosen's role model. Like by default, that's the one. After that, anything else is a bonus. So I don't think that one moment could take away from all the time that he puts in being a good role model. And just like a good role model, if we let LeBron and other past athletes who were they've went through different trials and tribulations to get past it, let him get past it. Address this, give him a chance to get past it. Instead, we're acting like this is the end of a 26-year-old's career.
Exactly.
He's 26.
But my thing is, the reason they're doing it, they've been waiting to vilify him. And if he had won the Super Bowl, we would just be, the media as a whole would have been what Marshawn would have been had they won the second time. It's like, man, we got to face the music. We got to shut up and bask in his glory. When you lose, all the naysayers, like you said, all the people who were quiet in their little corners get to come out and have an opinion. And their opinion seems credible because they lost. So he's the villain now.
And again, I think this is the one mistake everybody will make is I don't think he's LeBron. I don't think there's any iota in his life where he feels like he has to please people. This isn't gonna bother him. I think he's already over it. Like yesterday when he was talking, I think Cam's over it already. Now he's just pissed off and they want to get back and they want to get a Super Bowl win.
Over the situation or over losing the Super Bowl?
Over the situation. Yeah, I don't think you're overtaking the L. Not the L you took on the field, but
I had to clarify.
Right. Thank you for clarifying. But the petty L that's spurning all these hot takes and clicks everywhere, he's over it. It's not that deep in life. It's about going forward and getting better and getting your team back there. Like it's just not that. It's not that deep. While we're making a big deal out of it, the media interaction for players and stuff in 2016, 2017, as much as the media loves to make themselves feel like the most important people in the world and that sense of entitlement, with Twitter and social media and stuff, we have direct access to the athletes that we didn't have when I was a kid growing up and reading the newspaper. We had to literally trust, the journalists on almost everything and take your word for it. That's not how it is anymore. Like, let some of that level of entitlement come down a little bit, and everything will be okay. They don't owe you anything. What they owe is to their teammates. Anything past that, it is what it is. Look, a prime example. Look what the bad media interactions did with Marshawn Lynch. He used to talk. Now, why talk? Just, I got money, I pay it. As long as my teammates love me, they know I ride for them, I'm cool. And I don't think Cam's going to end up doing that, but I'm just saying, like, they don't have to speak to you. They just don't.
You're right on the money.
Man, it's not a law. Like, they're not going to lose sleep over not talking to a group of journalists. I promise you that. I guarantee you. And
they're going to spend millions of dollars, and you're just going to not spend millions of dollars. So that's all. That's that.
That's it. They're past it. And again, Marshawn's been fine for 3 years without talking, and we've had the whole thing with why isn't he talking? Because of what happens when you do talk, and the same thing that's happened to Cam. I'm sure Marshawn's sitting back like, I'm so happy I stopped talking. You see how he retired? He didn't even let it wasn't even in the media's hands. Right. It's on my time because I can do that these days. 20, 30 years ago, that retirement, when it wasn't possible to do it like that. Just what is it? Let me take a picture. It's symbolic. I'm done. Everybody knows it. During the Super Bowl at that, what's going on with my life? Any last things on the Super Bowl, guys, before we talk a little bit about the offseason?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. That defense needs to all come back. They can worry about the quarterback later, but.
Well, I think since we're already talking about the offseason, great segue, since we need to worry about what Denver's going to do. You franchise tag Von Miller, you fill out all the holes, and you go about your life. You're going to be fine. You're going to be A-OK.
If you can get Von Miller signed, though, and get the other two?
I'd tag him. I would tag him. That's just me personally. I'd tag him. Just because, so this year, say right now, we don't know what's up with Peyton. If Peyton retires, that's 19.6 that comes off the books. The cap goes up. Everybody on that defense is not going to get Von Miller money.
No.
So you know what I'm saying? So you throw your bread at everybody else. You plug up your little holes. Whatever the franchise tag is for Von, we all know that dude is good for it. He is beyond worth it. And if Peyton is gone, you take your little money and you find out who's going to be your quarterback going forward. Throw your quarterback a little bit of bread. And then, if I'm Denver's GM, if I'm John Elway, I let the season go by. And if we get, later on in the year or whatever, I hit Vaughn with that lifelong deal where you never leave in Denver. And I'm cool because I know my quarterback's in place, and everybody else, all the other little pieces, they got their monies that are going to keep them there. And you just pay Vaughn whatever you need to pay him. You open the checkbook for Vaughn because the cap's supposed to go up this year and again next year. So you're good. I wouldn't even mess with Vaughn this year. And I think if you sign Vaughn long term this year, I think you're messing up unless you know exactly who you're going to get at quarterback. And I don't know. Obviously, I'm not them. I don't know. But if it's me, I sign all the supporting cast, and because the NFL does have a franchise tag, and I know he has to be here. Yeah, I slap that exclusive tag on him, and I chill. I fill out my roster. We attack the draft, and we go about life. I don't think it's going to change Vaughn. Vaughn's still going to be Vaughn. But I want to make sure the rest of the roster's in place versus throwing all my bread at Vaughn, and then now I got holes. Now what happens when Bradley Roby come up for a contract and say he keeps getting better, and what happens now? You know, so again, that's just me. Eddie?
I think if they can find a way to get him signed long term now, do that, because that way they know they have him. Or opposed to next year, he could leave. If he's franchised, he could leave next year, but I mean it's not likely.
Or they can tag him again.
Right, but I don't know. I just think if you can get him long term now, you can, because like you said, Peyton's money comes off the books if he doesn't come back. But you can then essentially just give that to Osweiler over the course of 4 or 5 years. So it's really not him getting all of that. You're getting him for a discounted price.
But we don't even know if Osweiler's the guy.
But if he is, then they already have him in-house, so they
That's
can
true.
just extend him and give him what might seem like a lot of money, but over the long haul isn't. But then after 2 or 3 years, can start over if they need to.
That's fair. Okay, so
I would get all the defense.
So you're in the camp of get Vaughn signed now.
Well, that's the thing of the franchise tag. I think if you can get him signed, if they can come to a number and agreement, and you can get him signed for long term, do that, because he just had the biggest impact of the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. So you got to give him what he's worth. But if not, then this could motivate him just to ball out even more this upcoming season. So then the next offseason, he knows he's getting paid over the long haul.
And just before you jump in, Gerald's going to say, and just talk about the precedent that Elway's already set in. We've already been through that with Demaryius Thomas, where he chose a franchise DT versus Julius Thomas, and DT ended up getting his long-term deal. So, again, I just want to make sure everybody's aware that every team's not the same with the franchise tag, where it's like, oh my gosh, last-minute resort. Some teams are smart about it. You know, we don't know that we don't know what was said on the podium, what's been said, over the past couple of days. And I'm sure Elway knows they can't afford to let Vaughn. I'm sure Vaughn's not even worried about it.
Nope.
Tag or no tag, he ain't worried about it.
Right. I respect both your opinions. If anything, I agree with Eddie. If you can sign to a full-term deal, go for it. If you have to franchise tag him, then you can do that as well. Priority is defense. I believe Peyton had the perfect swan song, just like Elway, and he'll ride into the sunset, which means all that cap money will come off. Whether you lock Osweiler to a decent deal and then see where that goes, and if he becomes, let's say, a Bubby Brister to Peyton's John Elway, then you find someone else in the draft for free agency. But the defense has to stay intact.
I think we're all in agreement there. They can't afford to lose any pieces of that defense. Only add to make it even more unfair. All right, so that's for Denver's offseason. We got people like Chicago where we don't know what's going to happen with one Alshon Jeffrey. We got a couple former decent quarterbacks. It's not like there's a whole. It's not like it's a whole. We're in an era of great quarterback play in NFL. We just watched that Super Bowl, and we watched some of the teams that tried to get to the Super Bowl. If Brian Hoyer's starting somewhere on purpose, or Brandon Weeden is on purpose again. Going to this offseason, this is going to be that time where we already know the RG3's officially done with the Skins or whatever, to see where he ends up. That's what I'm looking forward to see where he ends up. I'm also anxious to see what San Francisco does with Kaepernick, whether it's letting him go or keeping him, and that's why I was talking about with the Broncos. That's my first place. I think if Cap doesn't end up staying in San Fran, I think he ends up with Elway and company over there in Denver. And
That
again,
would
I'm
be so
I'm not knocking
lethal.
Osweiler. I'm just simply saying we don't know what you are yet, and we're talking about somebody who's played in a Super Bowl, played in NFC Championship games, and think about the weaponry he inherits. A. Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. So again, that's just me. If he doesn't end
Vernon
up here,
Davis.
Oh, Vernon Davis is
that's a
done.
non-factor. He's
Yeah.
been done for 3 years. Stop it. And he gets reconnected with his college tight end Virgil Green. Again, that's if that happens. But if they do let him go, I think that's the first place he's headed is Denver and that Kubiak offense with all those rollouts and all that stuff that Peyton didn't really like doing. That's all stuff that's in Cap's wheelhouse. So that's just what I'm looking forward to this offseason. Jarrell?
I'm definitely looking forward to see where RG3 goes. I'm a Skins fan, so I don't want him going to Dallas. He can go pretty much anywhere else, and I'll be okay. He goes to Dallas. You guys think I'm playing? I'm going to sit in my room alone, dark, turning everything off, and I'm going to just go to sleep. The moment I hear the news, I'm going to sleep. Kaepernick, I do want to see where he goes. He said he wanted to go to the Jets. And
I
Brandon
don't.
Marshall.
I just gonna say
And Marshall said he didn't want him.
And just real quick with that, I would be real careful what you believe from his camp and not his camp, just because every time you hear his name, 80% of the time it's a lie. I'm just gonna throw that out there. The local media versus the national media, as it pertains to the Niners, are two totally different worlds. Where it's weird since the local media is there every day, and the national media gets some great stuff courtesy of the front office. So I would just be leery of what. Like for me, it's either Denver or like Houston for Cap. Like Bill
Yeah, I was going to
O'Brien's.
say Houston.
Yeah. But again, when you're talking about RG3, I think he's in Texas no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't want it to be Dallas.
I think it's going to be Dallas.
I hope it's Dallas, honestly. For me, I hope
Now
it's
that Johnny Football's out of the equation, it's going to be RG3 in Dallas.
Well, see, like that's the thing with Johnny Football. I never thought he was in the equation in Dallas. And I know everyone was so quick to put him with Jerry and whatnot. We don't even know what he is. I'm not even so off the field. We already know he has issues on issues on issues and issues, and needs help on help on help. But just even on the field, like if I'm Dallas, if I got to choose between the two, I know I got that big cushy offensive line up there. Yeah, I probably want to go put Robert behind that thing and just enjoy my life and go forward with it.
And give him Dez and Terrence Williams. See, I don't need that. I don't need that karma in my life. This is personal. He can go to Houston and prosper. Do you think I see you in 3 years? Not Dallas. Not Dallas. Karma shouldn't be that hard for me, man.
I want him in Dallas, rocking number 10, in Jerry Dome for like the next 8 years. I think that'd be wonderful. Sorry,
Well, it won't
Jerome.
be the next 8 years.
Oh,
almost gonna be
with
close to it.
that O-line, it might be.
I mean, I think Tony's like 5 minutes from us like calling it. Every 10 seconds he's hurt, and this is like you're taking turns just hurting collarbones. It's a collision sport. It's not good that your collarbones you know what I'm saying? They're taking this many L's. It's not like it's an ankle or something. It's your collarbone. Yeah. I don't know. I wish him the best, but again, he hasn't been fully healthy for a while now. I think Dallas should at least make sure they get a better backup than they've had the past couple of years.
Definitely that. Definitely the backup, yes.
What do you guys think happens with Alshon Jeffrey? If it's Chicago, do you do whatever you have to do to keep him? Or do you just go about your life knowing that you have Kevin White and you hope that Kevin White's going to be perfectly healthy and you go on and maybe go find you a new quarterback and all that other stuff and you just move on? Or do you go, no, Alshon, stay?
I don't know. I don't know if they really need him, per se. Like you said, Kevin White, if he's healthy. But I don't see him as like the difference maker of them making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. So, I mean, there have been talks that Detroit should look at him now that Megatron will no longer be playing, which that'd be something because of Stafford. But I don't know. It's hard to say what they should do with him. I mean, obviously you want a talent like that on your team, but they know what they're getting with him and Cutler. So, and it's not the Super Bowl, so you could either restart or keep him there and try and do your best. But either way, it's not like the ideal situation for them.
All right, Jarrell.
Again, I gotta agree with Eddie. We're on the same page today, so that's cool. He's an asset, but you kind of seen how high their ceiling. You've seen how far they can go with Alshon. It also depends on if Kevin's healthy. If he's healthy, then they may not need him. Detroit is actually a great spot now that Megatron retired. And that'll be interesting, for revenge games twice a year. Other than that, I'm not sure. I gotta look more into like who would be suitable for him. I know maybe I saw someone saying we would take him as the Redskins, and I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed, but I don't see that happening. So I gotta look more into it.
The only reason why I don't buy Alshon to DC is dude doesn't even throw the greatest deep ball to D-Jax, and that's like the best deep threat in the league. What are you going to do with a 6'3" guy? I mean, I guess at least you got more room for error, the bigger catch radius, but Alshon's way more than a possession wide receiver. He kind of gets downfield, makes a lot of catches downfield. So if you're going to utilize him correctly, I don't know if Kirk's the place I want to go if I'm Alshon. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
No, and I fully agree.
I'm not knocking him for the year that he had, everyone. Before y'all come after me, just saying, it's not like D-Jax was like just breaking out when he was there. Yeah, I remember quite a few games when D-Jax was running by himself and that ball was nowhere to be found. So, and he's a better deep threat than Alshon. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know if you want to. It looks like Kirk's wheelhouse is the short and intermediate game. Every once in a while, depending on game planning, how things work out in the play action, it's not like dudes throwing it 55, 60 in the air, big boy. Like, it's not like Carson in Arizona, where we drop it back and we letting that thing just go. So I'm not a big Alshon to DC thing. I can maybe see him in Detroit or something like that. But if I'm Alshon, I'm looking at going somewhere where I want to win. Like, you haven't done that in Chicago. And I guess the one small thing that I disagree on, of course I'm going to be the weirdo from you guys, is I don't think we've seen, like, fully optimized Alshon Jeffrey because he played with Jay Cutler. You know what I'm saying? And
that's a good point.
And not to pick on Jay, but I'm thinking what other quarterbacks could do with Alshon Jeffrey, and man, it's things that maybe don't happen in that what was in the dumpster fire that is the Chicago Bears. Yeah,
I definitely agree.
That's just me. Like, if Alshon
look at what he did in college.
Yeah, if Alshon ended up somewhere like Carolina, think that'd be fun.
I was just thinking Carolina because when you were saying, look what these other quarterbacks could do, I instantly just thought of Cam. And I know what he could do with him.
Yeah, and at least that gives you, three big targets, and Funches can move a little bit, Alshon can get deep, and KB's still KB. And at the end of the day, some of those, like, we watch a lot of those throws where people were dropping stuff in the Super Bowl and, contested catches. That's all I'm saying. Those contested catches, that gives you at least two guys. When you throw that 50-50 ball up, where those scales tip a little bit more in your favor. And for a bigger quarterback, that certainly can't hurt. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if I'm Alshon, I'm looking somewhere where I could go, do the winning thing and see what that side of life is like. You're still young. Go find out what winning's like. Been through it, man. Go find out what winning's like. So, again, that's just me. Some other free agents, though. Trying to pull something up right now. Trying to think off the top of my head. I think we have Muhammad Wilkerson, which is going to be interesting because I think everybody and their mom's going to want one of those cheat code defensive ends. Like everybody. I know I want one.
Right.
I know that would be a wonderful thing to add to my struggling team. I would definitely like one. I don't need you to laugh, sir. You can keep your laughter in house.
Y'all got the best coach in the league, though, Wilson.
We'll see what happens, man.
Y'all got your boy as the coach.
You know what I mean? I'm just waiting to see who the quarterback is, man.
Chip Kelly for 2016, man.
Look, man, again, I'm not going to make fun of him. As long as I know he's not the GM, I'm cool. I'm cool. And you can't bring people in and make people leave. Balky does that. I'm cool. I'm all right. So y'all going to leave me alone. All right, we got guys like Eric Weddle, one of the better safeties in the NFL. I'm sure a team could use something like that. Eric Berry, but I think we all expect him to be, I think we all expect him
to stay
and retained by Kansas City. Nate Allen, a safety from Oakland. Muhammad Wilkerson, as I said. We got Prince Amukamara, who I'm definitely not a fan of. But for people who are a fan of Prince Amukamara, he's a free agent.
What about Doug Martin? He has to have some sort of market for him.
I think there's a market for him, and I think say I'm like Dallas. I'm in the Doug Martin sweepstakes quietly.
That's a good team.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a low number. I know I have a dominant offensive line, and I go, hey, I'm going to give you a little prove-it contract. Come in, ball out, and I'll pay you if you're still good between the years that we have left between you proving it and you turn 30. But I'm sure there's a market,
But if I was Doug, I would stay in Tampa. You kind of see where your team is going with Jameis.
Yeah.
And under that, I can kind of see good things coming from that team in the near future.
That's true. It's not a bad place to be. Offensive Rookie of the Year, #1 overall pick. Played like one. That's not a bad place. We got Evan Mathis from Denver. We're talking about people that they need to retain. Remember with Chip Kelly, the GM, gave away Chip Kelly, the head coach's one of his best offensive linemen, to Denver. So he's a free agent. Greg Hardy's a free agent until he's retained.
Hopefully nobody signs him.
I don't think anyone will sign him at this point.
Yeah, I think he gets a job really quickly. PR stuff aside, after watching what Von Miller and that group of pass rushers just did, if you're a pass rusher right now, and as long as you're not, I still think there's a shot for him to end up with a job. Like, what is he, like 26? As crazy as everything that he's been through, like 26, 27?
Something like that.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that he deserves a shot, but, understand football. Understand sports, professional sports. More talented you are, that rope tends to be a little bit longer. We got Morris Claiborne, which I'm interested to see if anybody wants him outside of Dallas, or if Dallas still wants him.
Overrated.
That's not very nice. It's not very nice at all, young man. Steve McClendon, any 3-4 teams looking for a defensive tackle. That'd be interesting, even though this draft is deep on defensive line. Cam Thomas, defensive end in Pittsburgh. There's some pieces out there. One piece that I do like is Rodney McLeod, the safety from the Rams. If they don't retain him, a safety-needing team, he's not a bad player. He just plays on the Rams, and they don't have offense. Anybody on the Rams defense doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that they're, it's a Jeff Fisher coach team. It's not their fault.
All right.
They didn't do that to themselves.
How is he a head coach? I don't understand that.
Look, don't get me started, okay?
He screams mediocrity. He's had, 4 winning seasons?
Your man is like Mr. 7-8. And yes, I did not say 8-8. Mr. 7-9. Oh, my goodness. I can't stand him. I don't understand how he's employed. We've seen better coaches get shorter leashes.
Yep.
And look at the talent that GM put on that team on defense. And
look at the talent we gave them.
Yeah, we're not even going to get to that either. They paid for it as far as I'm concerned. That was just a fair transaction. Another guy from St. Louis. This is going to be interesting in St. Louis. Janoris Jenkins is a free agent. Wow. Okay, St. Louis. I don't know what you guys are doing this year.
Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
You're right.
Los Angeles, whatever. The Rams. Does it really matter? Jeff Fisher's still the coach.
True.
I mean, they're going to get a nice stadium in, like, what, 2018,
19.
2019?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need to go to that sometime in my lifetime.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
Hopefully, Todd Gurley's still there when that thing's built. You know.
I think he'll be the breadwinner of the team, so they'll be smart to keep him.
Mhm. I hope he tries to get out of there. Nobody deserves that. But then again, maybe they get a quarterback, so who knows?
Maybe
Or
they
maybe
should
a
get
new
a head coach.
That would be fun to get one of those coaching guys. I heard it's fun to have a head coach. It's
One
crazy
that
rumor I heard.
one that like makes the playoffs every now and then.
Man, I heard that it pays off sometimes to get one of those. I heard it helps
Yeah.
you win. You know,
That's funny. Funny how that works.
you get a good coach and good leadership at the top. Wow, it's just crazy. All right, before we get off here, we're just gonna recap. I'm looking at this short list for Fox Sports, 16 best players to keep an eye on in free agency. Also, we're talking about Von Miller, right? How about Josh Norman, Carolina?
Yeah, that's what I was also going to bring up.
Obviously, I think they're going to open the bank because they already extended Luke and Cam. They already took care of the two people that matter most. Josh he's in that group of you're not allowed to leave, we need you. So I think they open the checkbook. But I'm interested to see which tag they put on him if they can't get to a long-term contract before free agency starts. Because if you're a team in right now and you don't have a lockdown corner, would you give 2 firsts and act like you won and go about your life for Josh Norman?
I don't know about 2 firsts.
A first and a third. No, first and a second. But here's my thing. They play zone in Carolina, and let's say you try to switch them to man. Would it end up being what happened to Namdi? From Namdi was all-time great in my opinion in Oakland. He went to Philly, and nothing was the same.
See, I think that's where we differ. I don't think Namdi was ever great. I just think he was the best. Like he was the shiniest apple in a bowl full of rotten fruit. Like I'm not going to give you a pat on the back for that. Like you were the best player in a dumpster fire.
But they said he had 48 attempts in 3 seasons. That's 1 attempt a game.
But again, if you're on a team full of trash, why throw at the only thing resembling an NFL player? I'm just saying. If there's 10 people that you can beat, why even fight the one who could possibly fight back? I'm not even messing with you, man. I got 10 gibbies and a possible resistor. Yeah, I'm not even looking at you. Like we're throwing at everybody not name you. And we could just take turns rotating on other people. But why even waste the time? Then you get to, more competitive environments and people are picking on you. I think Josh is a little bit better than that. But, yeah, I understand what you're saying about the zone thing. But, I mean, that's to the team that gets them. If you go get somebody for what they do well, I hope you have the common sense to continue to allow them to do what they do well. Now, if you change that, I'm never going to get mad at the player. We saw what happened in Tampa with Revis. Hey, you're a man corner. Come play off coverage. Oh, my God, people are throwing at you. Something's wrong. It's crazy. So, yeah, we had Josh Norman, and he turned down $7 million a year earlier this season because he knew he was worth more than $7 million a year. So that whole contract negotiation, that's going to be fun. And then we got to talk about your boy, Jarrell, Mr. Kirk Cousins. Thought you were going to get out of here without that? Do you tag him? Do you bless him with that big boy money? What do you do, Jarrell?
No, you tag that man. Tag him, tag him, tag him. Tag him like we're in the elementary school recess playground. We tagging him. We're not giving big boy money. Tag him. He's going to get a nice, our franchise tag is 18, 19 million. Give him that. And if he's nice, we can talk business. If not, Deshaun Watson, here we come.
Deshaun Watson, here we come. Wow. So you're You're not that like possessive with Kirk. You're ready to move and that quick.
He didn't say he's ready to move. He just said keep him for one more year under the tag. Then if he plays well, keep him. If not, see you later. I agree with that.
Hey, well, that's the one thing that we all agree on. That's the one thing that we all agree on is you haven't beat a winning team. Next year your schedule gets better because you won the division. You get to play more teams like Carolina and New England, in which you had little to any chance of winning. So
play
yeah,
the AFC North.
Yeah,
next year.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Big Ben, a healthy Le'Veon Bell. The Triple Bs are back. Killer Bees are back, rather.
Please don't call them that.
Hey,
then we possibly have 2 London games next year. You know, more prime time. I don't need to get killed.
I don't need any London games in my life.
Well, look, apparently guys, we might have 2. So.
Look, guys, there's Mexico City and there's London. Y'all just gotta get over this, okay?
No, I'm perfectly fine with that.
But
explain the global brand.
We all do agree. Tag him, see how he does against better competition, and then pay him.
Yes.
Or move on. Okay,
or
but don't do the whole 4 or 5 year deal and get locked in. Okay. All right. Okay. And all I will say for Kirk Cousins, don't do the team friendly thing. Can't trust organizations. Kaepernick took a team friendly deal. Look where it got him. All that empty money, they kept it. They got $50 million in salary cap space right now. And last year, looking at that team, that money could have been well spent to build an actual football team. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen under Scott McLuhan, but just I think because of that instance, players are going to be real leery to take these so-called team-friendly deals now, seeing how that just played out. All right. Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I mean, maybe Matt Forte, or do we think Matt Forte is almost the end for him, so he's not that high on a list of priority?
No, I think he's a guy that with a different scenery around him that he might be able to play better depending on who picks him up. I think he just run his course in Chicago because, like you said earlier, it's a dumpster fire, and well, everyone should probably just abandon ship, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Jarrell?
I could see a good fit in him going to Dallas. As much as that would pain me, I think Dallas is a great place for any running back, honestly, as long as they can stay healthy.
Yeah, because I mean, even McFadden looked okay last year. In Dallas quietly. I know everybody didn't care too much, but he ran for more yards than the other former Dallas guy did. For him, I was going to say I think Matt Forte ends up in that running back by committee in New England. They love them a running back that can play 3 downs and especially one that can catch.
Yep.
And Matt Forte has shown us throughout his career that he is an animal as a receiver out the backfield. And I think that'd be one of those wonderful little toys with his size, even a matchup problem in a passing game where, he doesn't have to be the bell cow, if Deion Lewis and company come back. But by committee, if Matt Forte is your 3rd down back, life is pretty good. Life for you is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's not bad. That's for sure. It's not bad.
It's definitely not bad. So, I mean, we'll obviously see what ends up happening. But again, this is just an early peek into the offseason. We have weeks on weeks to talk about the offseason, to talk about the draft. And I'm sure, as we get closer to – we've seen people get released already. So people have – NFL's not wasting any time. We're already, the free agent list, that market, it's being added to. I think Jeff Schwartz was released today, the guard from the Giants. I think Will Beatty was released. John Beeson was released. He might retire. So
he did retire, I think.
He did retire? Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw that.
So, we're at that time of year, man, so it's going to be fun. But you guys have anything you wanted to add before we leave?
Nope.
Nah, not this time.
This guy, look, not this time. All right, folks, thank you so much, man. We love these little roundtable discussions. We're going to try to do plenty more of them. As for the rest of the week, content-wise on the site, so Maryland, we'll be at Maryland Purdue tomorrow. And then always, every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 on Bliss.fm. It's literally just www.bliss.fm. Check out what we have going on there from 8 to 9. Listen in live. You can stream on that site or on the TuneIn app, either or. Hour worth of sports, hour in like 10 or 15 minutes, give or take. We just talk about sports, join the conversation. And follow these guys on Twitter, man. Jarrell, tell them where they can follow you at.
Dapper J on Twitter, DAPPER, just the letter J, no AY. And yeah.
Eddie.
You can find me at King Edward 15.
Or you can copy and paste what Eddie has on the screen right now because his lower third game is official. Unlike us, we
Yeah, I'm not worthy. I'm new to this.
I'm not gonna give an excuse. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. Just it's bigger than me, so that's why my name doesn't need to be on this. Next time, I don't know the next time that we'll be back, but just look forward to it, man. YouTube, subscribe, tell somebody, subscribe. We got 2 new weekly programs, Beat the Press and Beyond the Arc. Check them all out. Thank y'all so much. See you next time.